Hello and welcome along to the presentation of the return of one of the Masia products, Adama Traoré. The right winger returns to what was his home for 11 seasons, starting in the Barça youth ranks until making his debut with the first team. My name is Diego Logain and joining me is Jamie Coles. Hello, Jamie.
Hey Diego, how are we doing? What an exciting day for FC Barcelona.
Indeed, it is indeed. And I imagine, Jamie, that for somebody who's been calling so many Barça youth games such as yourself, you must be very excited to see the return of one of the sons of La Masia.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's Barca DNA through and through, really. He was born in Hospitalet, which is near enough Barcelona for those that are concerned. You know, Catalan, born and bred in some respects. And yeah, learned his trade from the age of 8 right here in blue and red.
Exactly, Jamie. And of course, we're going to go through all of the details as well about Adama, his background, his time with Barça. As I mentioned, his 11 seasons in total until he finally made his departure. But Jamie, why don't we tell our audience what we have in store for them today?
Well, we're waiting now. We're in the auditorium waiting for the arrival of Adama and President Laporta. They're going to come and speak to the world press, and we're going to hear from them and their first thoughts. Here, well, his first thoughts from Adama as a Blaugrana, as a Barca player.
That's right.
And then later we'll head over to the pitch and the Camp Nou, where he will get his first touches of the ball as a returning Barca player. It's not his first time in the Camp Nou with the ball at his feet, but it's the first time this season. And
we're seeing it there, Jamie, the Camp Nou looking beautiful as ever. It's a nice and sunny day here in Barcelona, and as you mentioned, it'll be his first touches as the return of a Barça player. As we mentioned, of course, at the top of the show, he has already made his official debut for the first team. That was quite a few years ago. Tata Martino, as some of you will remember, was the coach back then, and he stayed on for that season before eventually then making his departure from the Premier League. And now today is the final return of Adama Traoré to, as you mentioned, his boyhood club. He is from Hospitalet. In fact, he was born just 5 minutes away from the Camp Nou. I mean, this was just destined for him, of course, to be a Barça player.
Well, I mean, as a young boy, seeing that almost daily, you know, right there on your doorstep, seeing the comings and goings of one of the greatest football clubs in the world, if not the greatest, that's going to have an effect on your future dreams and ambitions, right? And find me a young boy in Barcelona that doesn't want to play in blue and red.
Absolutely. I mean, in the city of Barcelona, or worldwide for that matter, I was born a few kilometers further away, up north in Holland, but it was also my lifelong dream to once become a player. Didn't make it. But here I am presenting a player that is a Barça player.
As near as you can get without being on the pitch.
That's right, that's right. Well, yes, exactly, Jamie. And it's a delight, of course, to be here today and witness the return of Adama Traoré. As I mentioned, he started his career at La Masia. He was 8 years old. It was back in 2004. And, well, he started off with quite a bang. He quickly became known as, they called him the arrow of Hospitalet, right? La flecha de Hospitalet. Became known for his speed, Jamie. That was his biggest quality. Of course, he wasn't as say muscle-packed back then as an 8-year-old?
I was wondering what you were going to say. Well, not as an 8-year-old, but not when he left Barcelona either.
Oh, neither, yes.
The transformation that we've seen in the 6 years that he's been in England, there must be
days.
something in the water there, Diego. Very muscular indeed, bigger and better, I think is the phrase that's going around. But he says he doesn't lift any weights. I'm not one that's going to argue with him. If he tells me he's not going to lift weights, I'm going to accept that as a fact. But yeah, like speed.
Well, he does resistance training though, right?
Okay.
He says he does a lot of
calisthenics is the
correct, and I would imagine as well. I mean, with so much body weight, that even just doing body weight type of exercises, muscle weight. I mean, I mean, it's
not something you and I know too much about. But yeah, I think you're probably right. We're going to see some clips shortly from a training session with Barca, his first training session back with Barca. And there are some weights involved as well,
yes.
And I'm sure he didn't struggle too much. But no, certainly speed and strength are kind of his two big standout characteristics.
Yeah.
He's quite well recognised though as one of the top dribblers as well. Great ball control.
Absolutely, he was for 3 seasons, I believe. Call it named or awarded the best dribbler in the Premier League for Wolverhampton. Is really where he had his breakout seasons ever since arriving to the Premier League. Became known as this very fast and dynamic player that once he got going, once he got running, I mean, there were simply no defenders that could stop him, and of course eventually earning him the reputation of becoming one of the best dribblers, if not the best dribbler, for 3 seasons in the Premier League. Now, part of that has to do, or at least that's the word around the campfire, Jamie, is that a lot of it has to do with the fact that he oils up his upper body in the shoulder area. Now,
you told me this before we went live, and I have no way of confirming or denying it. But
right. So the rumor has it that he oils up his upper body and his shoulders, so that defenders can't keep a hold of him. But that might be the reason now. However, originally he got the advice of one of the people from the medical staff at Wolverhampton, because his shoulder would be dislocating more often than not. He's got, I guess, call it a weak shoulder or shoulder problem, where quite often once defenders started tucking on his arm, his shoulder would pop out, would dislocate, right? And he got the advice to oil that area up so that they couldn't grab a strong hold on that shoulder, on that weak shoulder of his, and therefore not dislocate his shoulder. Now, with the passing of the seasons and the years, he's continued that practice, and it's clearly been benefiting him.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it works, why fix it, Diego?
Don't try to fix something that it works. Now we'll have to see if he will continue that practice. I imagine that if it works, if it worked for him there, Xavi will not have any hesitations to tell Adama to continue that practice.
Yeah, we'll have to find like a left back from. Well, let's see when he makes his debut at Atletico Madrid, coming up, the first home match for Barca in a while. So maybe we'll have to ask their left back should they try and chase him down that right wing, whether he's oiled up or not.
That's right.
We'll try and verify that for our viewers at home.
Now, Jamie, of course, Adama as well finds a locker room, a dressing room, where he will coincide with some of the players who were his teammates back in his debut season when he made that debut for the first team. If we look at the list of players that he already played alongside with, we can see names such as Dani Alves, Gerard Piqué, Jordi Alba, Sergio Roberto, Marc-André ter Stegen, and Sergio Busquets as well as his current coach, of course, Xavi Hernandez.
Yeah, I think it's very much the homecoming, You see it there on our screens right now. Ben Tornat, welcome back, Adama. Very much the homecoming. We'll have a look at a little bit of some videos of the first sort of training that he's done since returning, and I very much that feeling that it was a homecoming. You see him back in the dressing room, greeted by Xavi, Sergio Roberto, and then of course
all familiar faces.
Then of course, Ferran Torres and Pedri, they're not unfamiliar to him after playing with the Spanish national side under Luis Enrique as well. So
correct.
you know, he's got friends here, shall we say?
Yeah, and it sort of feels like it has been a season of the return of some of the prodigal sons of La Masia. Of course, also Eddie Garcia departed from Football Club Barcelona at a similar time when Adama did. It was a time where, I mean, the Barca team was, of course, had a plethora of world stars in the game of football, and the front line, I mean, we had names such as Leo Messi, Luis Suarez, and Neymar Jr. as well, of course. And Adama, you know, wanted to continue to have continuity and progress, and as well as Eddie Garcia for the backline, for that matter. And of course, it made sense for these players to try their fortunes away from their home, that is Camp Barca. We're seeing that slowly but surely on our screens. Family members of the Traoré family have taken their seats, as well as friends. The press room is filling up with journalists, and we're seeing also President Joan Laporta there, greeting the family, and Adama Traoré, the man of the hour, taking his seat.
Yeah. His brother Moa there as well, who is also a player, just up the road in Cornellà.
That's right.
He's in the first Federation division, so he'll have faced Barca B at some point.
Yes, the Traoré family have got reason to be proud. Mama and Papa Traoré have done a good job raising their sons.
Yeah, two solid footballers.
And quite frankly, I mean, against all odds as well. We mentioned the fact that he was born in Hospitalet, in a neighborhood known as El Bloque, not necessarily the neighborhood where the Barcelona city tour bus would visit. So, and he's often mentioned, I mean, he's not been shy about the fact that football has really kept him and his brother on the right path.
Yeah, no, absolutely. His parents coming from Mali before he was born to make a life in Barcelona.
There we have Jordi Cruyff as well for the customary pictures before this press conference will take place. Do make sure that you join us following the press conference, where we will take a short break and return with Adama Traoré dressed in that kit that you're seeing right there, supporting the number 11, so taken over from Yusuf Demir.
Yeah, I think it was probably not Barca's best kept secret that Traoré was going to take on that number, but there you have it confirmed in front of your very eyes.
And we'll see him later on with that kit, taking his first steps upon his return as a Barca player in the Camp Nou.
Must be a good feeling to be returning home in this important moment for Barca. We're going to hear from him now. So,
oh yes, the delight has got to be immense for this Barcelona native.
Molt bon dia. Benvinguts i
As,
benvingudes a
our colleague
l'auditorium
Àngels
899 en aquest acte de presentació.
welcomes everybody to the press conference, to this presentation of new Barca player Adama Traoré, who returns to what was once his home. And now, again, of course, he is joined by club president Joan Laporta, as well as advisor Jordi Cruyff, who oversees the youth categories of Football Club Barcelona.
I debuta amb el primer equip l'any 2013. Per tant, és un home que torna a casa seva i ara ho fa de la mà.
Àngels making us aware that he made his first team debut in 2013.
Et demanaré una cosa. Veus aquí que hi ha una lona? Tens un rotulador. Volem que estampis, per record, la teva signatura.
And
En aquesta lona
Adama is now being asked if he can sign the poster with his signature, so that can also go up on auction.
De les categories inferiors del Barça, inclòs el filial blaugrana. Doncs en aquesta llista,
yeah, this is a nice campaign that they've been doing from La Masia, giving each player a number based on their chronological order of their debut. Messi, for example, is number 93. Adama Traoré, 145.
Wow.
145th Masia player to make their Barca first team debut.
Wow, that's
Jordi Cruyff was 51, as he explains.
Said very well. Jordi Cruyff remembers his number. Doesn't want to be left off of that list, of course.
Igual et convoca Xavi Hernández. Doncs, en primer lloc, comencem aquest acte demanant-li
Well,
la paraula.
We're about ready for the press conference, which will start with some words of Club President Joan Laporta.
A tots.
Hello, everyone.
Sembla em trec la màscara perquè així s'entén millor. Pares de la dama, germans, germanes, amics.
Welcoming the parents, friends, family of Adama Traoré on behalf of the club and the board. Says today's a very special day. One of these days that you're happy to be here living through this moment. It's good news, and he says, welcome, Adama.
Aquella dita catalana que diu que roda el món I torna al bord. Et vas formar aquí, vas néixer aquí.
It's a homecoming because you were born here, you were raised here, you learned your craft here with Barca.
Després has fet
Then you have played a good part of your professional career away, and now you return to Barca, and we can enjoy this talent that you bring with you. We can be very excited and happy because it's a player that's been trained in the Masia, and you come to Barca in this moment that we're rebuilding the club, that we're climbing back to be competitive positions and continue chasing this dream that we dream. And then today's especially good because you've made an effort today to be here in this moment of the club. You know that the club is very grateful to you. We're doing what we can, and we'll always do what we can to work with you. Jordi, who is a member of the technical secretariat, will explain better, but we can talk about the footballing characteristics of this signing. But honestly, we're very excited to see you make your debut again with Barca, this time under the number 11, and we can enjoy your strength, your speed, your talent that we need. And we hope that you score a lot of goals with Barca. All that said, today we want to remind you of the fact that we continue to build on this history of Barca, which is with Adama and Football Club Barcelona.
I abans de començar la roda de premsa també m'agradaria que ens adressi les primeres paraules al nou jugador del primer
We'll hear now the first words of Adama Traoré, the new player at Barca.
Bueno, primeramente agradecer al presidente.
Good day, everyone.
Esto que pueda suceder.
I want to thank Joan Laporta for making this deal happen, as well as my family and the entire staff that have followed me on my trajectory away from home as well as here. I will give it my all so that all Barca fans will be proud of me. I'm very happy to return back home, and hopefully coming on Sunday I'll be able to demonstrate my talent. Now, whenever we present a player, we like to show some special images to welcome them, and in this case, this is what we have prepared for you.
És un centroxut, però jo m'he anat per la banda i he fet un centroxut i ha entrat.
Imparable Atenció, Adama, pot marcar Adama, Adama, gol, 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 gol. La pone Boca para Adama, el xut de Adama, gol! D'aquest prodigi atlètic de 17 anys.
El meu somni és arribar al primer equip del Barça.
Doncs ara sí, començarem la roda de
Now we'll
premsa.
begin the press conference.
S'encarregarà el
Bé,
nostre company.
benvinguts i gràcies per la vostra presència aquí a l'auditori, per la presentació del nostre el nou jugador, l'Adama Traoré. Sisplau, com sempre, una pregunta per torn. Dieu el vostre nom i el mitjà al qual representeu i dirigiu la pregunta a una de les tres persones que estan a l'escenari. Comencem per Barça TV.
We'll begin with a question from our colleague
Hola, bona tarda.
Marc Brau from Barça TV.
Aquí Marc Brau de Barça TV, ben tornat al Barça.
He says, welcome back to Barça.
En aquest vídeo, tu de petit deies, el meu somni és arribar al primer equip del
As we heard in the video, your childhood dream was to be
en què has canviat
in the Barca first team.
què segueixes
You left,
formant part
well, you
respecte
did that in
al Barça?
2013, you left in 2015, and now you're back here. What's changed in these last
Pienso que,
6-7 seasons?
bueno, físicamente,
Well,
pienso que tengo también más experiencia.
I think physically I've changed as well. I've gained a lot of experience.
Es distinta a la Liga
The
Española.
Premier League is also very different from La Liga Santander, in their transition game in particular. It's perhaps a little bit more physical as well.
También he tenido grandísimos entrenadores.
I've also had some great managers there in the different teams that I played for.
Sin perder la esencia del Barça.
But of course,
De tornar,
my Barca passion for Barca has never left.
mal Laporta, mal Xavi.
I can't wait to continue to work hard for Xavi and Joan Laporta and make sure that Barça triumphs.
Ha canviat, sí que ha tornat, quan veus... Una mica, es veu que has treballat.
He says, you've worked in this time, you've come back.
Hola, bon dia.
Noticeably.
López de
What?
RAC1. Vas marxar l'any 2015, que és l'any que el Barça ha guanyat la seva última Copa d'Europa.
He says, you left
I
in
tornes en aquest moment
2015 when Barca won their last
l'Europa League. M'agradaria saber tu
Europa
des de
Copa.
fora com has viscut
And now you
aquest
come back
procés,
when Barca are in the Europa League.
Aquest procés en què el Barça doncs, ha arribat a aquest punt.
Have you seen the process from the outside?
Pienso que el proceso, yo siempre sigo al Barça.
Well, I've always followed Barca,
Independientemente que estaba en Inglaterra o
regardless whether I was
familia, mis amigos.
in England or if I was visiting my family here.
El presidente
As the president said,
creciendo y
we're
aparte
growing.
Mi trabajo es aquí es ayudar.
And my work here is to
aprender al máximo
help,
y aparte de ahí,
to
pues,
learn,
como te he dicho, los objetivos que nos
and make sure that we
nos ponga encima de la mesa,
reach the objectives
cumplir.
of the club and from a sporting perspective.
Què tal, Adama? Aquí al fons, Ramon Salmurri de Catalunya Ràdio. No sé si has pogut parlar ja amb el Xavi, amb l'entrenador.
I don't know if you've been able to speak to Xavi, the coach, yet. What does he want from you? And what do you hope in this loan contract?
Lo que me ha pedido es lo que ha pedido determinados extremos que están aquí ya.
Well, what the
A partir de ahí, pues,
manager has asked me is the same that he's been asking all wingers, to show my talent, to dribble and take defenders on one-on-one.
hay diferentes cosas que el míster nos pide, tanto
There are
ofensivamente como
different things that he asks of us, both offensively and defensively. I can't go into detail, but the most important thing here is that we're competitive, independent
se presente enfrente nuestro, pues
of the teams that we face. We need to try to win and go all out.
Hola, buen día. Bienvenido, Adama. Soy
Gracias.
Adrián Albets de la cadena SER. Mi pregunta en este caso es para el presidente Laporta. Quería preguntarle por la situación de...
I wanted to ask you about Dembele's situation. The position of the club is clear. Will Dembele not play again for Barça, or will that be the decision of the manager?
Esto lo decía el entrenador, por supuesto.
This is something that the coach will decide.
Aquí lo que quería antes
Obviously.
de precisar, perdonad, es aprovechando la pregunta. La dama ve
Right now, I want to ask,
s'ha dit fins a final de temporada
is that with Adama, we've got him on loan till the end of the season, but we've got an option to keep him here at Barca. And we hope that these 6 months go as well as we hope, and as we all want, and then we'll make it into a reality. I want to show my gratitude for the effort that he's made to come here to Barca. And it's true that he's made an effort because he's come in this moment, and we'll always take that into account. Dembélé, that's something that the coach will decide. It's a decision that the coach will have to take. And he's working right now for the immediate future, but also we're not sure about renewing. We'll probably not have next season because there are the clubs that want to reach a decision with him. It's more difficult for him to play because what the coach and we're doing is rebuilding a team, and we want to know who we can count on this season and next season, and probably we won't be able to count on Dembélé because his people haven't wanted to accept the offer that we've made, and so we've got now a sort of, we hope for him to be polite and to return the favour, but we'll ask now maybe if Jordi wants to shed a bit of light on this situation.
Well, during this time, we've tried to reach an agreement with very acceptable offers. Sometimes these things happen in football. Sometimes we don't reach an agreement for the reason that may be. But he's partaking in the training sessions as one more player. He's motivated, and he's considered as one more player. And as the president mentioned, at the end of the season, he will have to, or the manager will have to make the decision whether he will make use of the player for the remainder of the time or not.
Ben tornat a Adama, Elena Condis de la cadena COPE. Mi pregunta también es para el presidente, Joan Laporta. Acaba de decir usted que Xavi tiene la última decisión.
Just said that Xavi will have the final decision in December. Xavi said it was up to him. Dembélé would play. If not, it would shed a bad image on the club. Do you think that he could decide to play him even if the club doesn't want him to?
Right now, he's a player with a contract until the end of August, if I'm not mistaken. If the player is available, and if the coach decides, and I want to say again, the coach will decide, given the circumstances with Barca and Dembélé, there's every opportunity he could surprise us. But it surprised everyone that he didn't accept the renewal. And that's something that I know Xavi will also have take into account, because it'll be difficult to plan. We need to look at the short-term future, so he knows our opinion was that he had to renew. He's not renewed, and that's now a situation that we have to take into account. We have to face the reality of it and manage it. And I want to say again that I hope he deals with it in the best way possible, and so that everyone ends in the best way. But the circumstances of this, both in terms of the sporting and the contractual situations, and honestly, we've not understood the position of the player. If he's not renewed, if he's got offers to go somewhere else, he could have his future well laid out now, and we'd respect that, but we can't accept or understand the current situation.
I think it's also important that in December we had a certain situation with the squad, the injuries, as well as the Kun situation. We needed players who were more vertical, And now the situation is that Xavi has got a plethora of choice. He's got a large repertoire of players that fit that bill. We have more players that can dribble, that have got that verticality and can score goals. So I think we strengthened that squad in that aspect. So November, December, we had one situation, and now in this second phase of the season, we have many more options for the gaffer.
And from the club, what we'd like is players like Adama that come committed, and with the possibility, we hope that he'll want to continue. We'd like him to continue. We want players with this attitude. We don't want players that don't want to renew with Barca. He'll know why he's done it. But we're in a club, if he doesn't want to renew with us, well, that has its circumstances. And we hope that Ousmane, as a person, we've got nothing against him. And his people need to understand that these aren't the best circumstances for this.
Buenas tardes, Alfredo Martínez, Onda Cero. Bienvenido, Adama. Al hilo de lo que comentaba Jordi, son 10 jugadores de punta los que va a tener Xavi.
From what Jordi said, these are 10 players that Xavi can count on when Ansu's recovered and maybe Dembele. Do you think there's a spot for you in this team? And is there anything that Xavi told you maybe about signing up for the Europa League?
You asked me questions of which the answer I have nothing to do with. I'm dedicated to this project. I said it as well when I was playing for the Spanish national side, that every day I live to the maximum, and a day that I don't is a day lost for me. Whether the coach decides that I play, I will give it my 100% and my all.
So they're just reminding the members of the press to keep their questions to one.
Today, Barca confirmed that Aubameyang has also been signed as a player. So 4 new players have come in during this winter transfer market. I would like to know how satisfied you are with the affairs, and do you think that there's still a lot of work left to be done?
What do you mean, work left to be done? About players, the market's closed now. Right now, we're happy, very happy with how the director of football and the technical secretariat have worked. I want to name Mateo Alemán because his personal situation these days, he's been in Mallorca for a family issue. And we're very, very happy with the work that has been done. With the tools available to him, given the circumstances that we find ourselves in today. And we're still facing this salary cap. Obviously, the technical secretariat and the director of football will keep working to give options to our coach right until the end of the season, so that he can have a team that is more and more competitive. In terms of the signings we made this winter with Ferran Torres, Dani Alves, Adama Traoré and Aubameyang, the truth is that we're very happy. And it's true that we've achieved, now he's signed, that Aubameyang is registered and he's able to play.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Alejandro Segura de Radio Marca. Lo primero, bienvenido, Adama, a Barcelona. Mi pregunta es para el presidente o para Jordi. Recojo el guante de las 2 últimas preguntas. Han llegado 4 fichajes en este mercado.
4 new players have come during this winter transfer market. Today, the final list has to be presented for the Europa League. Which one of those players will not make the list? And what has been the decision of the technical staff?
Well, this has always been a difficult situation for everyone, because at the end of the day, the players are people and they're all competitive. And this headache is one for the coach. I think it's very important, before we communicate it officially, is that the coach has his moment to communicate with the player. That's a bad conversation he's going to have, but we're going to wait until he's communicated it to the player before we communicate it officially from the club. But these are circumstances we don't like. It's going to hurt the player, it's going to hurt the coach, but that's football.
Sí, hola. Benvingut, Adama. Jo li volia fer una pregunta al president Joan Laporta. En el tema de Dembélé,
With regards to Dembélé, did the club insist to continue the negotiations to re-sign him? You presented him with several offers.
aquesta petita finestra encara es manté oberta.
Is there still hope that he might renew?
The offer for renewal we made was up until the 20th of December. From the 20th of December, there's not been another. We've not wanted to make another. But we saw an attitude that he didn't want to renew. The offer was very good for that player. It's true that we saw that the player had offers from other teams that must have been very interesting to him, but his reaction was that he was very grateful for the offer. And so during these months we've tried to negotiate with him, with his people, a new offer, but his aspirations are beyond us and what we can offer him. And we weren't able to reach an agreement. Right now, the solutions that we're looking for will be over the next 6 months, because he's a player that plays well, and we'll see what he finds at another club. The offers were good and very interesting for the club, and it was an important amount of money. Now we're in this situation, the circumstances have changed, and we'll see how we manage it, and manage it in the best interests of Barca, whilst also respecting the rights of the player. And then from now, it's the coach that will have the word, and we'll respect the decision of the coach, and we'll value his sporting decision, but he's also a person that loves Barca, he loves the club, and it's in his interest as well to find a way that is resemblant to our sporting plan. It's a similar situation in the end to that of Elias Moriba. And in the end, we were able to find a solution, but we've tried, and there's not been any way of doing so.
Adama, bon dia, benvingut a Barcelona. Adrià Fernández del diari Esport. A mi m'agradaria aprofundir una mica sobre la figura de Xavi, que el vas...
I'd like to go into a bit more depth about the figure of Xavi, because you knew him from your first stint at Barca, and now he's going to be your new coach. What do you hope from him this season as a coach?
Well, Xavi is a club legend. Since I arrived here as a youngster until I made my debut with the first team, I spoke with him about life, about our profession, how his experience was with the youth ranks, and about his rise to the first team. Players like him and Puyol were there when I made my debut, and they always gave me advice. I have great memories of that time. There were other fantastic legends like Busquets, Iniesta, Jordi Alba, players of the youth ranks who all of them give us advice. And they showed us the ways and ways to be successful at this club. And Piqué, of course, as well, whose birthday it is today, and I congratulate him.
Aquí, la meva pregunta és per la dama, Oriol Tortajada de l'Esportiu. Vas debutar en la Lliga al Camp Nou amb 17 anys i 10 mesos.
You made your debut for Barca in the Camp Nou, 17 years old.
Suposo que quin record guardes, vaja,
What
d'aquell dia també?
memory do you have of that day?
Well, any memory of the Camp Nou is a beautiful memory, particularly now, upon my return. This has always been my home. And like I said, I'm very excited, very happy, and I can't wait to help the team and do everything that the coach asks of me.
Hola, buen día, presidente. Hola, felicitaciones, Adama. La pregunta es para Laporta. ¿Por qué la situación de... Soy Juan Etigoyen del país. ¿Por qué la situación de Dembélé es diferente a la de
Why
los jugadores de
is Dembele's situation different from other players in other clubs like Mbappé, Dybala, and Haaland, who are also finishing their contracts but continue to play for their club?
There are various similarities, all these circumstances. Yes, it's true that these are players that are ending their contracts, and as normal, they want to play right up until the end of their contract. Dembélé is accompanied by various situations that haven't really been the best. It's difficult for him to adapt because he suffered quite a lot of injuries. He's a player that Barca invested a lot of money in. And this is an investment that they made that we've not necessarily seen on the pitch in many years of glory. So we're a bit disappointed. We've understood his injuries. We've understood his disappointment sometimes because he felt like he wasn't treated in the way he deserved. And here I'm sorry, but I'll include things that he's said in various moments in his time as a player of Barca. He's also had complaints against the press that they've not really cared for him enough as a player. We've tried to understand all of these issues. And as a club, and the feeling of Barca in general, we need to draw a line now in the sand and start looking ahead. Renew and show all the talent that you've got, which is very talented. But the difference is that there's a certain element of disappointment. Since I've arrived, I've tried to treat him in the best way possible. The coach has done the same. We think that he's a player of such a great level that Barca haven't been able to enjoy, only in a way that's been very staccato. And so the difference between him and other players, if we can imagine which ones they are, this is different. We've not enjoyed enough of Dembélé that we were hoping. And we were very excited to see him renew and show us the best Dembélé, which is a very talented player indeed, and that's where the difference is.
Hola, Roger Torello del Mundo Deportivo, benvingut a Adama. Pel president, l'opció de rescindir el contracte
The option to breach the contract, or break the contract rather,
i que no pugui acabar contaminant el vestidor
is still there in order to have him not participate in the practices and be in the dressing room and perhaps wrongly influence the players.
No, we will evaluate all the options, and we hope that we're able to decide and execute the best decision in the best interest of Barca. There are various options, and I think this isn't the time to go into depth about them because we're here to present Adama Traoré.
Buen día, aquí. Adama, bienvenido. Anaís Martí de La Vanguardia. Te marchaste hace 7 años, que era un momento
You left 7 years ago which was a moment that was difficult for players from the Masia to get into the first team. How did you see that moment when you had to leave? And did you always have the idea of coming back one day?
Like I've been saying, Barcelona has always been my home. Sometimes you have to take a different road in order to get to the first team. I did that due to the different circumstances, but right now I think the most important thing is that I'm back here. I'm excited and ready to help the team.
Bon dia, president. Bon dia, Adama. Bon dia, Jordi. La pregunta no sé si la contestaria el president o el Jordi. És sobre quan vostès han parlat de l'opció de renovació, que és la que
talked about the option to renew.
de que segueixi després de la sessió.
I'm talking about Adama at the end of his loan spell.
Individuals, objectius.
Is that based on objectives? Does it depend on the amount that needs to be paid? What does it depend on?
The option is
no és una opció obligatòria.
It's free. It's not obligatory for both sides. It's free for both sides to choose some fixed quantities. And this is something we'll talk about with Adama and his representatives, and I hope that we'll follow that option.
A l'esquerra. La meva pregunta és per la dama. Jo volia saber què has sentit quan has tornat a trepitjar les instal·lacions del Barça.
How did you feel when you saw the new setup for Barca?
Oh, it's mixed emotions of happiness, of memories. It's thought about what I want to give to this team. What about all joy? Joy to return to what was my home, what always been my home since 11 seasons. So I'm very happy, and I hope to continue to give also happiness to all of the Barça fans.
Hola, bon dia. La pregunta és per Jordi Cruyff, soc Joan Domènech del periòdico. La plantilla ha quedat una mica coixa per la falta d'un segon lateral esquerre.
The squad is perhaps missing a left winger to back up Jordi Alba. Is there any options there?
Well, when you make a work plan, you make sure that the squad is well balanced. Obviously, this is the winter transfer market, which is always different than the summer one. It's also true that in defense, we have players who are starters or those that don't play. It's different from the rest of the positions. So it's a lot easier to find attacking players with game rhythm who are not necessarily starters, but have a lot of participation. And in this market, it's very difficult to find a starter who comes out on a loan. Obviously, this financial situation is what it is, and we need to adjust all the parameters. So we can say that we did part of what we consider very important within our attack, with vertical players, 3 or 4 players that come from a league where the transitions are frequent and fast-paced. And we think that we reinforced a part which needed to be reinforced, but part of it is still left to do. But we have now a squad that is able to compete for everything. The transfer market is now closed, and we are already working. Of course, we have been working already for the next transfer market. Now we were able to do this. The coach is satisfied. We gave him different weapons to give him a different system and ways to play, and for that you need different weapons. And so in that aspect we've improved, and we have strengthened our attack, and we're now able to dispute our matches not 70 or 80 minutes, but throughout the entire game. And now it's up to us to look at the numbers, to discuss how we can improve, what aspects we need to continue to work on ahead of the next transfer market, and that's where we're at.
Hola, bon dia. Martí Molina, Diari Ara, per la Dama.
Una mica en la línia d'això, tu ets extrem, evidentment.
You're a winger.
S'havia especulat la possibilitat
But
de que potser
there's a lot of speculation that you could also,
Xavi podria utilitzar-te com a
that Xavi could use you as a,
lateral. S'havia comentat. No sé fins a quin punt és una opció
as a
trobes que no rendiries si
winger, or
la teva posició per necessitats del club.
could you adapt your position to the needs of the club?
I've never really played as a right back. I've played as a wing back. I've played as forward, as a winger as well. There are different positions where I can play. And when I talked to the manager, he mentioned the wing position, and that's the reality of today.
We'll have the final question before we head out into the Camp Nou to get some touches of the ball.
My question is for the president. If my memory doesn't fail me, I think it was in December when you talked about Dembélé, that he was a better football player than Mbappé. I don't know if that statement could have influenced his agents to ask the amount that they were asking for.
Yeah, I don't regret that. I think we were offering a deal that was very fair. Just because it's gone one way or another doesn't mean that one side's given up or the other. The excitement, the dream that we had was to get the best Dembélé. The talent that he's got, he's one of the best players in the world, for me. And that's why we made such a big offer. That's why we made such a good offer.
And with that, we conclude the press conference. But do stay with us, of course, because we still have to see the first touches of Adama Traoré upon his return to the Camp Nou. So thank you very much for having joined us up until now. But like I said, don't go anywhere, because we still have a lot more to cover of Adama Traoré's presentation upon his return as a Barça player.
Em llamo Adama, el meu cognom és Traoré, tinc 10 anys i he fet 3 anys al Barça. Jugo d'extrem dret. Algunes vegades em posen d'esquerra. La meva manera de jugar és fer la paret i que me la tiri larga. Jugo al parc, vaig al parc i pren, i jugo en partits i tot. El top, el Juli i el Messi i el Ronaldinho. Perquè el Juli és que el corre molt, el Messi corre molt i té bons regats, el Ronaldinho perquè és molt bo. El meu somni és arribar al primer equip del Barça.
Well, welcome back to the presentation of the return of Adama Traoré. One of the Masia products has returned to what is his home. We just witnessed the press conference, and in case you're tuning in now, make sure that you do watch the replay of that because it was an interesting one. My name is Diego Logain, and joining me is still Jamie Coles. Jamie, I mentioned at the press conference that we just translated was interesting. A lot of questions, of course, with regards to the return of Adama Traoré, who's obviously very happy to be back to what is his home, and as well as about his return to a dressing room where he's going to meet a lot of his teammates, or ex-teammates rather.
Yeah, I think this is a sort of a nice way of rounding out the winter transfer market for Barca. You know, they've got this, signed a few players actually have come in from the Premier League, but this one is very much a homecoming. You know, it's very much kind of, and Joan Laporta said it, he was born here in Hospitalet, which is near enough to Barcelona. You know, 5 minutes and you're in the city. 8 years old, he came to Masia, where he remained until he was 18, 19 before he left for England for pastures greener. And now he's returned to Barca on loan, although I think President Laporta made it very clear that 6 months is probably not going to be enough for this reunion here at the Camp Nou between Adama and Barca. And I think he's, you know, and well, the president said it as well, he's coming in this moment of reconstruction for Barca, a difficult moment to say the least. Let's not mince our words. And he was very grateful to Adama for the effort that he's making to come. And Adama seemed keen to be back here to make that effort and to help Barca in this project that they've got going on. So I think, yeah, very, very exciting, very important moment for both the player and the club.
Exactly, Jamie, and you mentioned rightfully so that Adama, of course, does come back on loan for the next 6 months. And earlier today, him and club president Joan Laporta made that deal official by the signing of the contract, that much anticipated moment where Adama finally reached the offices of Football Club Barcelona to ink that deal. That we'll see him stay for now for 6 months. But as you mentioned, Jamie, in the press conference, Joan Laporta did make clear that the intention, of course, is to make sure that Adama will be part of this project in the long term as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's a 6-month loan deal with an option to stay. And, President Laporta didn't leave too many doubts about what he wanted from this deal. So, maybe it's a good opportunity for Barca to get 6 months sort of test drive of the player, if you like, and just see how he gels. But, I mean, you got it right there in front of you, the 145th player from La Masia to make his Barca debut. We're going to see him return to the Camp Nou in just a few moments and get those first touches of the ball back in the Blaugrana colours. And I think it's probably important for the project that President Laporta, Jordi Cruyff, the entire team with Xavi, of course, are working on to bring a bit more of that kind of Barca style back to the Camp Nou. We saw that with the return of Dani Alves earlier in the transfer window. So, there's clearly a direction that's being taken here.
That's right. Dani Alves making his return to the club as well earlier. Of course, ahead of this season, Eddie Garcia made his return, somewhat baptized the return of another one of the prodigal sons of La Masia. And just last week, Adama Traoré made his return to Football Club Barcelona and passed his medical, of course, with flying colors. It goes without saying that this player is in tip-top shape. And
well, something else we heard in the press conference, right? President Laporta says, I know he's clearly worked since he's been away. And I think, there's no one that's got any doubt about the difference from when he left to when he's returned. And in terms of his musculature and the sort of the size of him.
That's right. So if we could have a look at the images of his medical revision, we can see just the fantastic shape that the player is in.
Yeah, the first days here, of course, he arrived at the airport Friday, Saturday, sometime last weekend, which is when, we heard all this kind of talk of him returning to Barca.
Yeah, it wasn't fully official yet, but his arrival at El Prat, of course, was highly anticipated, and all the cameras were out there to capture the first images of Adama Traoré back to his native Barcelona.
Yeah, he's no stranger to the city or the airport, undoubtedly, as his brother lives in Cornellà, which is, again, just up the road from Barcelona City, born in Hospitalet. And so he knows his way around, no stranger to this airport. Then, of course, he went to the Barcelona hospital where he had his initial medical checkups.
It's incredible, though. I mean, looking at these images, and I know it's perhaps we're, you know, recycling a lot of the things that have already been said, but it's just so obvious. His physical presence there is quite unique. Let's have a listen to his first words.
It's a special moment because it's been many years I've been playing here. I grew up here in this town. I grew up here with my family. I grew up here with my friends, and I'm very happy, you know. It's a special moment, and after I would like to give back that happiness in the pitch, and that's all.
They're expressing his joy to return to his boyhood club. It's not often you talk about a player that has played 11 seasons for Football Club Barcelona. He, of course, started back in 2004 when he was just 8 years old, and he left in 2015 as practically having gone through, if not all of the categories, most of the categories that you can possibly imagine in order to reach the first team.
I saw quite an interesting thing that sort of said he jumped a lot of them, like he was playing above his age level.
Right, exactly. I wasn't players 3 years older at times. Yes.
Yeah, and you know, he was in Barca B at the age of 17, but he was also playing in the under-19s in the youth league. So he was always playing kind of like one step above, and quite a lot of that was often put down to his physical ability, his speed, his pace. And, well, I don't think he's lost any of that. And if anything, he's come back just a little bit stronger.
Yeah, no, and listen, Jamie, you point out a very important and interesting fact there, because one of his breakout seasons, if you will, with the Barca youth ranks was when he was playing for the under-15 side, at that point coached by Oscar Garcia. And he then was in the 2011-2012 season, he coincided when he was actually promoted to the under-19 side, coming from the under-15 side. He was playing against those players that were, 3 years older than him.
Yeah. So I think, he's clearly always had that kind of physical ability on his side in terms of speed and pace and strength, quite obviously. And so, it's difficult to, it's easy to forget that he's only 26.
He's only 26.
He's only 26. He went to the Premier League and he was still in the under-21s. He was, he made that jump quite early as well to Premier League sides and then to Championship sides, and he's coming back to Barca to play in the Liga at the age of 26, and he's got a lot under his belt in terms of experience already.
He does, Jamie, and of course he's got experience winning trophies as well, because as the young player that he was back in the 2013-14 season, he won the first youth league in the history of Barca with that under-19s team, and had a pretty impressive performance in the final as well, providing that assist to Munir, who Munir of course scored 2 goals that game, but that really capitalized a fantastic performance for the Hospitalet winger. We're still waiting as the cameras are setting up their, or the journalists rather, and the cameramen are setting up their equipment to capture the very first images of Adama Traoré in his new kit for Football Club Barcelona, as he will take to the pitch very, very shortly indeed to have that brave moment that players have to go through of doing the touches in front of cameras. No fans today.
No, it's behind closed doors today, as following COVID protocol.
COVID protocols, of course, have to be followed. And we'll have to wait and see whether Adama will be brave enough to take part in some touches. Some players have, some players haven't.
We'll see. We'll see.
It's always, of course, an awkward moment that that instantly goes viral once a player, with all of the excitement and the nerves upon their presentation day, then have to take to the field to partake in something that they're so used to doing, touches. But yeah, it's always...
it's one thing to do it, you know, in the training ground.
That's right.
It's another thing to do it in front of all these cameras. Look at all these cameras.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Adama has, however, had already experienced his first training session under his now head coach Xavi Hernandez. His first training session took place a couple of days ago. That reacquaintance with who was once an idol, a teammate, and now his head coach, Xavi Hernandez, as well as ex-teammate.
We did say before it was something of a homecoming. You know, he already knew Sergio Roberto. They coincided in his first stint in the Barca first team, Xavi as well, of course. And then he knows the likes of Pedri, Ferran Torres from his time in the, or he still plays in the Spanish national side. There he is with Ferran and Pedri. And this is something that's nice to see, you know, smiles on faces, having a laugh. There's that dynamic almost from the off, you know. There's hopefully not going to take too much time for him to adapt to the Barca style, having played so many seasons.
There we see him doing some of those, what we were talking about before, Jamie, some of those body weight type of exercises. Again, he doesn't do any weight training. He was once quoted to say that my genetics make me gain the volume very quickly.
What genetics, you know?
And in the press conference, I don't know if you picked this one up, Jamie, but in the press conference, he also quoted to what I guess is one of his life mottos or mantras, if you will, and that was that his mission in life is to improve day by day, and if he is the same one day as he is yesterday, then he views that as a day lost. I found that very interesting.
I think it's a good insight into the sporting mindset, the competitive mindset that he brings with him, that he wants to keep growing, he wants to keep working and keep improving. And I think that's, well, to be perfectly honest, I think that's what separates professional elite athletes from people like us. You know, it's having that such growth mindset that you wake up every day and you say, I have to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah, determined, of course. Well, I mean, certainly from a physical aspect now, you know, you can have that apply that to you different facets in life.
No, absolutely.
And your career, family.
And yeah, like you're saying, career and family and stuff. But I think it's such a no days off attitude.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Diego, but I wake up some days and it's like, you know what, today I just want to watch some Netflix or some Barca TV Plus and not do too much. And I think if you want to be here alongside the top of the top, you perhaps maybe you can't do that, you know. There's that saying that when you're resting, your opposition is training and getting better.
Yeah.
And so can you really kind of risk, you know, sitting on the couch one day whilst I don't know, your biggest rival is improving?
Well, the competition is fierce in that respect, absolutely, as you mentioned, Jamie.
Well, he mentioned it in the press conference, not just the competition against other La Liga teams or Europa League teams, but within the squad itself. And he says, you know, I'm going to go out there and I want to try and earn my part in Barca, but at the end of the day, that's the coach's decision. All I can do is work hard every training session and show what I'm capable of.
And in that regards, Jamie, we have to tip our hats off, of course, to the entire family, Traoré, especially to the heads of the family, the mother and the father, because him and his brother have been able to make a living out of becoming professional football players. We mentioned at the top of the show, top of the presentation, that Mao Traoré, his older brother, plays for Cornellà, and that as sons of immigrants from Mali who had to immigrate here to Catalonia, to Hospitalet, and eventually make their breaks out in the world of football, as you mentioned, as competitive and tough as it is very, very impressive indeed.
Yeah, and it's I mean, he was playing at Hospitalet before he joined Barca at the age of 8, and that's a big dedication for the parents at that time. You know, as a kid, you enjoy playing football or whatever, and I'm playing for Barca, but it's the parents that have to make the sacrifice, you know, training once, twice a week, plus matches. You know, you've got 2 kids that are playing football, you have to duplicate that effort. One thing that's interesting, Diego, we talked about him joining Barca and the Masia at the age of 8. We saw on screen just now, with his new head coach, Xavi Hernandez, it's not the first time he's received a lesson from Xavi. It's not the first time he's been instructed on a pitch by Xavi. So maybe we'll have a quick look now at that moment when Xavi was giving me instruction here at the Camp Nou.
Let's take a look.
L'exercici consisteix en un zig-zag, un dribbling del contrari, amb la dreta i l'esquerra. Sempre és important utilitzar les dues cames. I luego disparamos a puerta. Va, dreta i esquerra, les dues cames. Molt bé. Vinga, un altre, ja. El cap sempre aixecat, d'acord? Perquè si ve el contrari el podem driblar i si no veiem el passe. Bueno, molt bé, home, doncs anem a canviar d'exercici, d'acord? Anem a intentar ara protegir la pilota. Jo, si poso el cos, tinc l'avantatge de la pilota, no? L'important és posar tot el cos, no? I la pilota ben allunyada, d'acord? Que l'Andrés no pugui. Llavors, l'important també és estar de cantó, no? Perquè l'Andrés no té l'avantatge de posar el peu.
Jo així no puedo.
Clar, exacte. Jo li vaig allunyant la pilota cada vegada més. Depèn, si l'Andrés ve per una banda, ho faig amb la dreta, i si no, amb l'esquerra. Que l'Andrés m'entra per aquí, doncs llavors intento aixecar el cap, veure on està l'Andrés i donar la volta, d'acord? El més important és no perdre la pilota. Vinga. l'Andrés, va. Vinga.
Ara.
Bé, ja per l'altre cantó, això mateix. Molt bé. Vinga, va.
Que la mano que falta, ¿eh? Y si te doy aquí un mordisco, que... Ahora.
Molt bé. Va, anem a fer un exercici, va. Vinga, 3 aquí i 3 amb l'Andrés, va. 3 cap aquí, ja, sí, bé. Vinga, aquí, deixem la pilota, va. Què passa aquí,
Hombre, pero más bueno.
I el passe, com s'ha de fer el passe? Com hem quedat que s'havia de fer el passe? A l'espai.
I aixecar el cap.
Home, abans de fer el passe, aixecar el cap, veure la importància del desmarc del company, d'acord? I llavors el passe ha de ser amb sensibilitat, amb precisió, d'acord? Ens mana l'extrem marxa i en aquell moment l'hem de passar als peus, perquè no es pari, ni que quedi ni molt llarg ni molt curt, d'acord? Aviam, doncs hi ha 3 maneres de passar la pilota, d'acord? A lo de l'interior, que diguem, aquesta és la més fàcil, no? I la més superfície de contacte que dèiem. Exterior, amb una mica de rosca, si el passe el vols fer cap a la dreta, sempre et servirà, no? Com a recurs. També ho podem fer per passar la pilota. Però sempre és més fàcil fer-ho amb l'interior del peu. Andrés, sí? Vinga, ja ve l'Andrés, pam. I el defensa en aquest moment... Sí? Tu manes, eh? Molt bé. Perfecte. Molt bé aquest passe. El peu, important. Va, a veure este pase, ¿eh? Venga. Perfecto, vamos, ¡ey!
Fútbol, porque como dejas fútbol,
Claro.
pues tienes que estudiar.
Hombre, y no sabes si te puedes dedicar al fútbol nunca.
Es verdad.
Hay que estudiar siempre a esta edad. Toma.
Eso es.
Venga, va. ¡Oh! ¡Gol! Venga, final.
Fantastic to see those images there of a very young Adama, just 8 years of age, playing against, or getting a personalized training session, rather, of who is now his head coach, Xavi Hernandez.
What an honor.
What an honor. And Andrés Iniesta as well.
Yeah. It's very funny, that moment in that video where Xavi's saying to him, like, look, age 8, you don't know if you're going to be able to be a professional footballer, dedicate your life to football. He says you need to keep studying just in case. Well, maybe Xavi's going to eat those words now.
Exactly. And of course, that's another one of life lessons, rather, that studying is ageless, right? I mean, we continue to be students of life. As we're seeing Adama there on our screens with the ball in hand and wearing that beautiful Barça kit, ready to take the pitch for the first time upon his return as a Barça player. Must be a special moment indeed, in particular for somebody who was born and bred just 5 minutes away from the Camp Nou, now returning as a key piece for Xavi Hernandez's squad. We're getting a glimpse of what he's going to do on the pitch, JD.
I think your question may be answered already.
Continuing the touches there before he takes to the field. And there he is, Adama Traoré, back as a Barça player, supporting the number 11. Taking a moment to soak it all in. Beautiful stadium, the largest in Europe, third biggest in the world, the Camp Nou. That, as he mentioned in his press conference, has always been his home and has always been dear to his heart. Welcome home, Adama Traoré. Now, a stadium, of course, where he's already made his debut, Jamie, as we're seeing there, the touches going smooth. While we're hearing the clicks of the cameras, and a little bit of showboating. That's what we like to see. I mentioned the Camp Nou, of course, has already seen the debut of this player. That prize coming when he was just 17 years of age back in 2013, November 23rd against Granada. He came on in his 82nd minute.
To replace none other than Neymar Jr. So he was already in the process of filling some pretty big boots, shall we say.
That's right. He became the 9th youngest player to make his debut for the first team in the 21st century, and just 17 years of age and 9 months. And he would later also make his debut, Jamie, in the Champions League against Ajax.
Yeah, replacing Cesc Fabregas on that occasion, I think, right?
If you say so, Jamie.
So, you know, two very big names that he's come on as a substitute for in Barca history.
Yeah, the Camp Nou, Jamie, is also, of course, a stage where he has already scored a goal. He scored his first goal dressed as a Barca player for the first team against Huesca. A beautiful goal that was indeed. And what was an 8-1 victory against Huesca. And in total, he has participated in 4 games with the first team. And as he mentioned again, referring back to his press conference, he's eager to make that 5 come Sunday against Atlético de Madrid, the current league champions. What a debut, or re-debut should we call it, that will be.
Yeah, back at the Camp Nou for the first time in a little while, FC Barcelona. Had a run of games away from home. And so what better way for your homecoming to head out onto this fantastic pitch to represent your new team. Now, I've only ever been as far into the Camp Nou as those members of the press there, Diego.
That's a lot further than the majority.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel blessed to have done so. But it must be something else altogether to be out there on the pitch, just soaking it all in, because it's such, even without the fans, it's such an impressive stadium.
Well, it's a dream come true for, in this case, Adama, of course, a dream that he accomplished when he first made his debut, the one that we were just referring to, and now coming back on this loan spell. I would imagine that a player like Adama, who's had Barca run through his veins since birth, literally. Again, he was born just 5 minutes away, and that must be just added fuel and motivation, as he's also inviting his family members. We're seeing his brother there, who plays for Cornellà, also to take to the pitch. And
his brother decided not to kick the ball back to him. But it's a big moment for his family, no doubt. All of them, well, his parents choosing Barcelona, such as you and myself have, but choosing Barcelona to make it their home, and it's just given them so much in that time since Moa, Adama, and their sister, of course, were born. And Adama now returns home to Barcelona, to FC Barcelona, as a culé, and you can see it written there behind him, Ben Tournat, welcome back, Adama, a culé once again. And it's something that we've heard repeated. Xavi said it, President Laporta said it. He says, we want people that want to give everything to this club, and I think that's what we're going to see here from Adama.
No doubt about that, Jamie. And with that, we are concluding today's broadcast of the presentation of the return of one of the Macias sons, Adama Traoré, making his return to Football Club Barcelona, supporting the number 11 and eager to make his debut under head coach Xavi Hernandez. With that, we bid you farewell. Of course, make sure you do stay tuned to the programming, as we will have another player presentation coming your way tomorrow. That will be of Aubameyang. But until then, we will see you, and we wish you a pleasant rest of the day. Thank you.